Trump in front of me in the communion line. I know that I'm supposed to keep my mind on better things, but his hair looks like a helmet of gold glued on by a 3-year-old. Nothing makes it move, so I can't help wondering, is it real? Is it real? Catholic school, 2nd grade, the time for first communion came. Me and blind Sam led the way to form a line down front. Sam stuck his tongue out for the bread. I took mine in my hand instead, but we both hesitated when they said to drink the blood. Is it real? Is it real? One night, me and my teenage son were reading a book that was given to us. Helpful tips for growing up, well, that's what it was supposed to be. The author said in chapter 2 that believing in God isn't hard to do. My son said, Dad, that isn't true. And I had to agree. I had to agree. Now I walk up front and kneel down every Sunday morning I'm in town. It might be out of habit now, it's really hard to tell, but I bring the doubts that haunt my mind, the questions in these songs I write. Somehow in the bread and wine, I think I feel you there. Is it real? Is it real? Is it real?
Yeah.
They say there's more than one way to skin a cat. Who in the world discovered that there are some weird people out there? It could be 15 degrees at a football game. Dudes are wearing nothing but Speedos and body paint. There are some weird people out there. And of all the crazy things to believe, you know it doesn't really seem like such a reach, that there's no puppeteer pulling the strings, but a higher power wanting the best for me. It's nothing I can prove, but I don't care. I'm not the only fool who landed here. There are some weird people out there. My wife's been gluten-free for a long time now. She can't look straight at a donut and turn it down. There are some weird people out there. Yeah, we all make resolutions when the year is new, but 8% of the world actually follows through. There are some weird people out there. And of all the crazy things to believe, you know it doesn't really seem like such a reach, that there's no puppeteer pulling the strings, but a higher power wanting the best for me. It's nothing I can heard this story of a dad who lost his little girl, how he forgave and still visits her murderer, all because he follows a guy who did backwards things, like touching the sick, like loving enemies. There are some weird people, and they've all the crazy things to believe. You know it doesn't really seem like such a reach, that there's no puppeteer pulling the strings, but a higher power wanted the best for me. It's nothing I can prove, but that's okay. I'm not the only fool trying to live this way. There are some weird people out there. I see some weird people. Thank you. Okay, well, welcome everybody. I'm Andy. Thanks for being here. Thanks for having me here tonight. I started writing songs way back in high school. Randomly, I played piano when I was a kid and stopped playing piano when I was like 12 because I thought I was going to be in the NBA, and didn't quite pan out. And a weird story that I won't totally go into, but I was a huge country music fan. I grew up in Austin, Texas, and I was a huge Garth Brooks fan. I loved the songs that he recorded, and when I was like freshman year of high school, he was playing at it was like a fundraiser for Austin City Limits. It wasn't like the show, it was like, for the show. And it was him and Kathy Mattea. You guys remember Kathy Mattea? And I was like a very shy kid. My little brother was not a shy kid. He was annoying and very hyper. But I had convinced my whole family to like Garth Brooks too. So we went to this gala. We're sitting at a table, and this is pretty early in Garth's career. And I'm sitting back at this table, and my little brother insisted on going and being in the front row and just kind of like yelling out requests. So he's like standing in front of the stage. And I was like, oh, that's so annoying. He just wants attention. Like, I just want to enjoy this music. And at some point in the concert, Garth says, hey kid, come on up here. And I watched my annoying little brother jump up on stage. I was like, and Garth just gave him his guitar. It was the first guitar that Garth ever gave away. It was like in his first 2 music videos, and he was inducted in the Grand Ole Opry with it. And so we took it home. He signed it after the show or whatever. And my mom got a call from the Country Music Hall of Fame. It's like, hey, can we put that? We can't talk about the history of that guitar, and can we put it on display here? And my mom's a very spiritual person. She was like, no, I think God gave it to us for a reason. It's not to sit in some case somewhere. So she got my brother guitar lessons. And he sucked. And I was like, well, can I try? And I'm like, sure. But the rule was you could only play Garth Brooks songs. So all the piano playing early in life, once I picked up the guitar, it was pretty quick. And I just fell in love with it, and I started writing songs. And when I was, once I started writing my own songs, there was this really weird biology teacher at my high school. She was a hippie, which is why I thought she was weird. Now it's not as weird. But she said, you should check out this thing called Rouse House concerts. I was like, okay. And I remember going as like a 16 or 17-year-old, and it was in somebody's living room like this with chairs like this lined up. I don't think they didn't have a sound system. But it's just I didn't know that was like a famous house concert series in the folk music world that had been going on for forever. I think it was like John Gorka or somebody was playing. And I remember sitting there thinking, this is the greatest thing ever. This is what I want to do with my life, is play in a living room for small groups of people. I didn't realize that I should have had dreams bigger than that.
More than NBA.
Yeah, more than yeah. It's either house concerts or NBA. Okay, and all that. This isn't an intro to the song. This is just to say, I love these settings because one thing I loved about it is I never liked the big barrier between the audience and the person singing the songs. And so tonight, I do want to open up the floor. I want you to feel comfortable. If you have questions or comments, that's awesome. I'd love for it to be more of a two-way conversation. I do ask that you wait in between songs, because if you ask me something in the middle of the song, it would be a slightly distracting. But I'll check in with you different times. But yeah, if there's something you need to share, I'm not afraid of you.
We'll take that road down.
I always should tell people at house concert, you should always put up a fake front row, and then just get rid of it.
It's our footrest.
Oh yeah, your footrest.
Thanks.
It's totally worth it.
I'm here for you.
Okay, so now I'm gonna play a song. Let's see. Also, you guys are a fun group, so the songs are, I don't know. Just see what comes. But this song is one that I wrote as part of a men's group at my church for a long time. I mean, it met at my church, but it wasn't people from my church. It was open to anybody, which meant that not many people from my church went. It was, just a time for guys to talk about what's going on in life, and we stole rules from the 12-step community that I love deeply. And some of those rules where there's no, you say your name before you share. Like, I'm Andy, and everybody would say, hi, Andy. And then I just talk. Yeah, thank you. I'd talk about whatever I wanted to, and then when I was done, I'd say something like, I'm done. And everybody would say, thanks, Andy. And that's one rule. That's pretty simple. Another rule was there's no crosstalk, which meant you can't respond to anything that was shared. Which for me, there was a big learning curve on that one for me. I always felt like I was a good listener, but the truth was I think I was a good listener for 5 seconds. And then I would start thinking about some amazing nugget of wisdom I was going to tell them as soon as they shut up. And that's all I could think about while they were sharing. I was just like, oh, I know how to fix this. But you weren't allowed to do that. That's a rule. You can't respond to anything that is said in the meeting. And what that meant, practically, if I went to the meeting, it lasted an hour. Let's say I went and I sat there for 50 minutes, just silent. And then I was like, hi, I'm Andy. Like, hi, Andy. And I was like, today was really bad. And I wasn't sure I wanted to come here, but I was just looking for any kind of hope that things would get better. And honestly, it hasn't helped. And when I leave here, I kind of want to get in my car and drive as fast as I can into a tree. And if I shared that, they all had to say, thanks, Andy. You can't say, no, don't do that, or it says here in the Bible, or can I pray for you, or what about your car, or your kids, They can't try to fix it. They just have to sit there and let me say that. Don't worry, I haven't shared that in weeks. I'm fine. And to be fair, after an hour of meeting, we would go to a Mexican restaurant and hang out for 2 hours. So, and there you can talk about anything. As soon as you step out the door, it's like, hey, that whole suicide thing you're talking about? Let's talk about it. But in the meeting, it is a sacred place. And I don't know about you guys, but one thing that I grew to love about that is realizing that, okay, there are some things or issues or something I was going through that I already kind of knew what the answer was, right? And having somebody tell me what the answer was didn't make it feel any better. or make the feeling go away. They're just like, I just had to be in it. And then there are some things that don't have answers. And when people would try to give answers to that, it would just feel insulting and make me feel more lonely. So I think what those rules were teaching me is that in my own life, if I'm going through something like that, what I really want is somebody to just sit with me in it. And that's a real gift. It is unfortunately kind of countercultural to most churches. We like to fix things. But this is a song that I wrote kind of in honor of that group, because I feel like they were teaching me how to be a better friend. And my songwriting hero, David Wilcox, I would share that. He's amazing. I've been like trying to copy him my whole life, and I think that's why he likes my music. He's narcissistic, and so. No, but he would say, you don't want to write songs about who you are. You want to write songs into who you want to become. And kind of let the songs somewhat be aspirational, but let them kind of pave the road in front of you. And to me, that's what this song was. It's like, I wish I was as good of a friend as this song says, but I was writing it so that it could help me become that. This isn't part of the song. This one says wrong. Hold on. I want to be right. Those are the 3 notes I care about, really. All you hear is silence. Feels like you're alone and drifting off of the map. Many souls have gone down this road you're on. At least I have. Sometimes people think it's better feeding you an answer for what you can't understand. But if you want someone who will just cry with you, I can. Some say there's nothing they're ashamed of. They cover up the tracks from the hell where they've been. But if you're looking for something broken, I am. That's not the only sad death we are meant to feel. If you need a friend to do some dying with you, I will. Okay, let me see here. I'm just going to follow the threads of my own brain. This is a song that I kind of wrote with David Wilcox. Like, I somehow, actually through, some of you guys have been to the Whole Lamb of God Christmas tour in Nashville, and we used to, for a number of years, we would have special guests just for the Ryman. We haven't done that in the last 4 or 5 years, I don't think. Early on, like Pierce Pettis came every year, and then had Buddy Miller one year, and then Alison Krauss one year. This is awesome. And there was one year where it was a year on the tour where Bebo Norman and Sarah Groves were out with us, and at the Ryman we had David Wilcox come, right? And we were all huge David Wilcox fans. But the way that it worked is everybody sat on the stage together and watched each other play songs. And so everybody knew that, like, I think they knew that I was the biggest David Wilcox fan. And so they were like, what are you gonna play in front of, like, this is your songwriting hero. He's gonna be sitting on the stage of the Ryman watching you play a song. What are you gonna play? And I wasn't sure what I was gonna play, but I knew it was a big deal because I was nervous. I never get nervous, mostly because I have just really low expectations for myself. That's kind of how I survive. And it was like, well, you know, whatever. But I remember being kind of nervous that night because I was like, this is like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And so I played a song that's another rip-off of like some song of his probably. And he came up to me afterwards and was like, I love that song. Do you have a copy of it? I was like, oh, funny you should ask. Yeah, right here. I gave him my CD, and I just remember talking to Jill, just because we saw him play a number of times when we were in college together, and we'd come down to Birmingham, seen him play 5 Points a number of times. And anyway, so I was like, I could die and go to heaven. That was my favorite songwriter. Said that he liked my song and he wanted to hear my record. I said, that's awesome. And then 2 days later, I got an email, and it was, he said, I listened to your record 4 times on the way home to Asheville. And he just like blessed me. He just kind of like talked about what he loved about each song, and was like, will you come to Asheville and stay with me and write with me, do this show with me? I was like, yeah, sure. Slow down, buddy. But you know, sometimes when you meet your heroes, it can be disappointing. And what I would say is, the funny thing about David Wilcox is that like Christians love to claim him, and then everybody kind of loves to claim him. So when people found out that I was hanging with him, they're like, so is he in or is he out? What is he? And I was like, honestly, the more I get to know him, the less important that question is. In some ways, he's the most Christ-like person I've ever met. And he's just a great person. He's weird. But he's a lovely human being. And so we started doing these things together, and at some point there was a big fan of his who was a big fan of mine, who said that, hey, I will pay for a record if you guys do a record together. And I was like, oh, that'd be awesome. We should start writing songs together. So we started trying to write songs together for a record, which I'm just really lazy, so it hasn't happened. I mean, we've written a number of songs together. But I had this one song, it was a time, right before COVID, went to Asheville, stayed with them for a little bit to write, and we're having all these conversations. We're having Enneagram conversations. We're talking about all this kind of stuff, and I was learning more about like his childhood, and it was going pretty deep. And there are things about it that I just like I never would have guessed about him. And I could just kind of see him in a different lens than I saw him, before. And there was a song that I had started writing, and I was like, oh, I think I want to write this song with him tomorrow because I feel like he needs to hear it. So I had about half the song done and brought it to him. He said, that's great. So we kind of finished it. We recorded a little bit of it at his house. And I thought, oh, I hope that was meaningful for him, because that really was just a trick for him to hear these words. And then like 2 years later, he was in Nashville. We were like kind of playing through the songs we had, and then I played him this song. He's like, oh, I really like that song. I've never heard it before. Well, we did write it together and recorded it in your house. It's a song about forgetting. I'm just kidding. That's You run the marathon, push past the pain, 'cause you hope it gets you closer to some imagined mark you miss again, 'cause the race is never over. And when you feel you should be covering more ground, slow down. Enough is enough. Take it easy now. All the measuring up only brings you down. It's not a thing you can do. You already have all my love. It's an overflowing cup, and enough is enough, is enough. Just one more pilgrimage, another hill to climb, before you get to where you're going. Strive to be born again until you find that you fit inside your own skin. And when perfection is a burden on your back, relax. Enough is enough. Take it easy now. All the measuring up only brings you down. There's not a thing you can do. You already have all my love. It's an overflowing cup, and enough is enough, is enough. Your worthiness is not something to prove. It's inherent to your true heart. One day I hope you believe you're not what you do. One day I hope you can see that you are enough. Take it easy. All the measuring up only brings you down. There's not a thing you can do. You already have all my love, and enough is enough. All the measuring up only brings you down. There's not a thing you can do. You already have all my love. It's an overflowing cup, and enough is enough is enough. Okay, I'll follow that thread again. Let's see. I think I figured out why I feel so alone. I've grown too much in self-awareness. I'm sure that I'm right, but the friends that I know aren't evolved enough to understand it. Oh wow, really worked, huh? I rid all my blind spots a long time ago, after reading some books that put me in the know. So I don't need therapy, there's nothing to fix, 'cause I know what my Enneagram number is. Is that right? Some old European said, know thyself. You'd probably be jealous of me though, 'cause I'm a man without a shadow, a picture of hell, who humbly got rid of his ego. I taught myself yoga, so I'm all covered there. Every once in a while I do centering prayer, but the greatest of all is the comfort I get, 'cause I know what my Enneagram number is. I used to not see that I had much more to me than NTP. Now I see it all clearly. I've reached enlightenment, 'cause I know what my Enneagram number is. Part of my calling as one who is woke is leading the lost through the dark night. And I know the way to wisdom and hope. I'll text you a link to the website. Multiple choices, that's all you must do. Then you'll find yourself walking the road back to you. They say it's a journey, but I found the end, 'cause I know what my Enneagram number is. Yeah, I know what my Enneagram
It's all
That's
part
what they all
of
say.
Oh my gosh, I really hope that could be a ringtone.
The other one was my theme song, not that one.
Yeah, but this is your ringtone.
Okay. What now?
Listening environment.
Any grievances that need to be aired in this meeting?
Okay, do the link. Thanks,
I should say, I really do love the Enneagram to a point. And the Road Back to You book was written by two friends, right? And so when I wrote the song, I played for my wife. I was like, do you think they're going to be mad at me? And I knew Suzanne wasn't going to be mad at me. I played for her first. And then I played it for Ian, like at his house. And he was with his kids. And so I think he had to pretend like he liked it. Because his kids were laughing at him. And, but I don't think he ever assumed I would play the song outside of his house. I played it one year at the Christmas tour at Ryman, and Ian was there, and he just said he could feel the stares big time. He just kind of, he's like, "Why'd you do that to me? Why'd you do that to me?" Okay, let me think here. So when my kids now are 23, 20, and 17. When my oldest was in middle school, he always complained that he was the only kid in his class without a smartphone or without a phone. And I was like, "There's no way you're the only kid in middle school or junior high without an iPhone." Like, I didn't get mine until like way later in life, and and I knew there were a couple of like kind of nerdy hippie parents with these girls who were really smart in my son's grade. Like they could have been homeschoolers, but they're not. They just on the verge. And I was like, "There's no way those girls have phones. That's impossible." So I told my son, like, "You're not the only one. I know those two girls." And then like Christmas of his 8th grade year, he, after the break, went to school, came home and said, "Guys, I'm now literally the only kid in my junior high that doesn't have a phone, because I guess the two girls got it for Christmas presents." And I was like, "Oh, I always told you were special." I was like, "I can't do that. I can't give you a phone while you're in 8th grade." But then, he finished 8th grade and went to this, the big bad public high school in Nashville. And we were like, "Oh, I guess we should get him a phone just so we can know where he is." So, start communicating with him, and he's doing basketball practice and stuff like that. Well, the first day of class, when school was over, we weren't used to the pickup routine in the school like we were used to the other schools. And my wife Jill went to go pick him up. And she called me from the parking lot. She said, "I've been sitting here for 15 minutes. I don't see him anywhere. I wonder if he's lost. There's so many guys with mustaches." Like high school was a big adjustment for everybody. And I was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. He has a phone. I'll find my friends. I can tell you where he is." And so then I call my son. I pull up, I can see where he is. I can see where my wife is. They're on opposite sides of the school. And I just kind of talk to my son. I'm like, "Oh, look, you just need to go around this way." I was like the guy at the computer at Mission Impossible helping out Tom Cruise. And I was like, "Oh, you're going to go around this building. It looks like it's a dead end, but you're going to go left, whatever." And I was getting him back to his mom. No big deal. But I thought about that this one time where we were kind of walking with some friends through a hard time. Like when you're a known idiot and failure in your own community, one of the side blessings is that other idiots and failures feel comfortable bringing their problems to you, because you can't judge. And so we hear a lot of these stories, people's lives falling apart, and this guy's life was falling apart. He made some pretty dumb decisions, and it was kind of like he was at a crossroads, and it's like, I can either keep going down this road, lose my wife and family, or try to go back and repair things, you know. But he felt like he'd already gone too far this way. And he's like, there's not a way back. I don't see that there's a way back. And what I was trying to tell him is, like, one thing I love about community and people who know each other and live in community with each other is that we have the gift of, like, looking at each other's lives from, you know, like on my phone screen, where you can kind of see, like, oh, that looks like a dead end, but it's not. Like, I can see a million ways back. You can't, because you're right in the middle of it. That makes sense. But I can see there are a million ways back, you know. And so that's what I was trying to communicate to that friend, and it's with this song. He hated it, didn't listen to the whole thing, and got divorced, but no big deal. Listen, not all these songs work. But the dumb thing is, like, when you record songs or whatever, like, I wrote this song for this dude, and then later I'm like recording it on my own record. When you're recording a record, you have to play it multiple times. You have to listen to it you listen to it so many times. And I had to listen to there's like an outro part of this song that is kind of like imploring with him to turn around. And I had to listen to myself sing that hundreds of times. And then it occurred to me, I was like, oh, I feel like when I write songs, it's like God's playing a trick on me. He's tricking me to think I'm writing songs for other people, but I need to hear it. And so I had to sit there and listen to it and be like, no, this is for me. And honestly, it worked. It saved my life. You're so good, you can hide the storm that rages underneath. But with each false word, you were digging out the ground below your feet. And the pain that keeps me up at night is only partly 'cause I feel betrayed. No, the bigger part is knowing what it's gonna take for you to change. But it's not too late, it's not too late, it's not too late. It's not too late, it's not too late, it's not too late. The car is packed, you're headed to a bridge you think you wanna burn. Yeah, you got plans, don't need dynamite or matches anymore. And you're driving at a breakneck speed, so you can't see all the caution signs. Say turn around, the bridge is out, if you wanna save your life. It's not too late, it's not too late, it's not too late. It's not too late, it's not too late, it's not too late. Death has a strong grip Nothing like the power the hand of God can bring. I've been to hell. That's how I can tell you with authority that it's not too late to change your mind. It's not too late for the truth this time. Not too late to fall on your knees. It's not too late for apologies. It's not too late to come clean, to face all the fallout that there might be. And it's not too late to understand grace is more than a concept to believe in. It's something more real than your beating heart. It runs to the depths of where you are. It follows you there, retracing your steps. It's whispering over and over again that it's not too late. It's not too late. It's not too late. Okay, let me think here. Let me do one more with the guitar and I'll switch over. I was leading a songwriting group, and a place where I normally pull some prompts from for the songwriting group is from a book called Uncle John Bathroom Reader. Does anybody have that book? It's a compilation of little stories that are short enough to read on the John, and it's just like random facts, you know, and there's this one entry about it was like dumb luck, like people that found random things that were going to be like really valuable. And there's one story about this person in New England who was at a garage sale for $5, bought this old kind of print or painting, but bought it for the frame. And then they were taking it apart, and behind whatever the picture was, there were like 3 or 4 watercolor paintings, shaker watercolor paintings that were worth a lot of money. And they're talking about how the Shaker women were only allowed to paint like landscapes, but they were like, I don't know. There's all these things where they couldn't like hang them up in their house or something, so they kind of passed them along with each other. I could be getting all this stuff wrong. This is what it said in Uncle John's bathroom. Anyways, I thought it was like an interesting story about these paintings that have been sitting there, are so valuable, kind of locked up behind, this picture of dogs playing poker or something. I don't know what it was in the front. A work of art, a priceless gift, spent most its life hidden in a common frame that never fit. Does that sound familiar? The beauty of a New England fall, taken down off the wall, buried light, a Russian doll. Does that sound familiar? Yard sale sign in the dirt, they pass you by. undisturbed, with no idea what you're worth. Does that sound familiar? Does it remind you of a song you used to know by heart? So sure that you forgot the tune, but then you hear the music start, and it takes you by surprise that you know every line. Someday when you least expect, after your life is left for dead, something comes to resurrect. It sets you free. It breaks the frame. It marvels in the way you're made. It calls you by your truest name. Does it sound familiar? Does it sound familiar? So some of you guys have heard this story before, but I'm gonna tell it anyways. On that before mentioned Christmas tour, there's a guy that has been on it every year since it started, so 25 years. He used to travel with Andrew Peterson full time before I did for a while, and then he went to go play for like Bevo Norman and Crowder, other bands. But he's a guy who plays, if you've been to the show, a guy who plays hammer dulcimer and dobro and all this kind of stuff. And early on in the Christmas tour, so I've been doing it 23 years maybe. So as soon as we were all on a bus together, it used to be just one bus of 12 or 13 people. Now it's like 24. But I was named the PE coach. Like, I think my spiritual gift is like the fun facilitator. I like just finding stupid ways to have fun, and I was athletic compared to a bus full of musicians, so it's a pretty low bar. But I like to compete in different, play whatever. And Gabe, my friend, he liked to do that too. We were the only two people who like actually enjoyed exercising and playing sports and competing. And everybody else, were just nerds, big nerds. And for a while, like the first 2 years, I had like Whole Lamb of God PE outfits made, and people would come like the first 3 days of the tour. Everybody would show up, and I'd be like, "Oh, we're playing dodgeball today," and somebody would get hit in the eye and be like, "I'm not." It brought up a lot of trauma for their childhood, and I was like, by the fourth day, no, it would just be me and Gabe. Like that's just what happened. So eventually, I kind of ditched the whole. I'd say, "Hey, we're gonna be playing this if anybody wants to play." I knew nobody wanted to play, but Gabe and I would just go play, whatever, at the church or wherever we were. We actually become big badminton players. So I'd bring a badminton set, like in the back of theaters. Usually the ceiling is high enough, so like just behind the curtains, I would set it up so we would, walk out and play songs on the Christmas tour, and then we had like a break for one song, and we'd go back there in our clothes and just be playing badminton in the back. It was pretty fun. But every year on the Christmas tour, we kind of in the Christmas tour be like, man, we should hang out more often. Like we're so similar. We love spending time together, and we're like, let's play racquetball like every couple weeks or something. We'd always make plans, and then something would happen. I'd be out of town, he'd be out of town, and it would just fall through. Maybe we'd see each other a couple times, but then I'd see him again the next December when we were on tour. And that happened for so many years of like saying we want to do that and it just not being able to happen. And finally one year, I was at a party, I was talking to Gabe, and our wives were talking to each other about they're talking about like their favorite TV show, which is CBS Sunday Morning. And I was talking to Gabe, and I found out that he and his wife Keely had moved basically to our neighborhood. It was like, I looked it up and it was a mile and a half away. And I was like, I can't believe you live this close to me. We definitely have to spend more time together now. Like, we don't have an excuse. And I said, well, I think I have an idea of how we can spend more time together and one day get on our wife's favorite TV show. And he's like, what's that? And I was like, well, I'm gonna text you on Wednesday. Let's leave our houses at the same time, just like walk towards each other. And we'll meet in the middle point and give each other a high five. And then walk back home. And if we do that once a week for 10 years, that's the kind of story they do on CBS Sunday Morning. And he was like, yeah, it sounds great. I'm not lying to you, that's exactly what the conversation was like. And so that Wednesday, I texted him, and we left our house at the same time. We met in the middle point, which just happened to be, there's a park called Sevier Park in Nashville, and it was just right like in the driveway of the community center at Sevier Park. So we gave each other a high five, and we talked like 2 hours, like, well, I probably can't do this every time. That's a lot of time talking. But then I would bring like a basketball, we'd do the high five, we'd talk for 15 minutes while we shot free throws or something like that, and then we'd go on our way for our day. And some days we would not talk at all. If we were both really busy, we would do the silent high five, which meant like we'd say ahead of time, like, hey, I want to do the high five thing, but I don't have time to talk. So we give each other a high five and not even look at each other. High five and go back home. It was kind of amazing. And Gabe started adding moves to it. Like he added a clap and a snap before the high five for some reason. He still wants to add moves. Like we've tried some crazy things, but we've stuck with the clap and the snap. Anyways, we just kept doing that. And it was like, yeah. And then it kind of turned into one morning we did the high five and went to the community center, we're shooting baskets. Then we got kicked out. It was a Monday morning at 9. This old Korean guy came in and said, hey, I'm sorry, we play badminton here on Monday mornings. And I'm like, well, will you teach us? And so he started teaching us how to play badminton. Not like backyard, but like competitive badminton, which is awesome. And so that's pretty much what we do now. I mean, like, do the high five, and then we play badminton for 3 hours every Monday. We've got no life. And anyways, next week, I think, what's the date today, 25th? April 30th will be 11 years of every week walking a mile and a half to give each other a high five. And it has changed my life in more ways than I could explain to you here or anywhere. But it really has. I mean, he's like a family member now. Like it's like we see each other more than once a week, but we definitely for the high five. During COVID, he married a girl from Texas. I'm from Texas, and we'd always talk about how much we loved breakfast tacos and how there were no breakfast tacos in Nashville. There weren't even homemade tortillas. Like you couldn't get a homemade flour tortilla anywhere. And in Texas, it's like you get it in the gas station, like everywhere. Literally, they have amazing breakfast tacos in the gas stations in Texas. And so we kind of talked about like, oh, we should start selling breakfast tacos. But I'm not very ambitious, so like my idea was like, let's make like 20 breakfast tacos and sell them in Sevier Park. And I'm like, oh, you can't do that maybe without a license, I don't know. So like, maybe if we just sell like advice and then we give away breakfast tacos and I don't know, it was kind of dumb ideas. Then one day on the high five, Gabe was like, hey, I think I'm actually gonna start this restaurant. Are you ready to do this? I was like, no. No. I will eat there. I don't want to open a restaurant. No way, I can't do that. And he did. And it is amazing. I kind of wish that I did it with him because they have like 5 locations now, one in Birmingham. But they, anyways, his opening date for the first store was March 2020. It was a great time to open a restaurant. And he had like hired everybody, but hadn't opened the doors yet. And then everything shut down. And somehow stayed afloat in that time and kind of opened for takeout in June or July or something like that. And it's been doing great since then. But he was working himself to death. Like, he was in charge of everything. And like, you're opening a small restaurant, you kind of have to do everything. And he, around Labor Day of 2020, he started having these really bad headaches. And he went to the ER on Labor Day. And they said, hey, you're not eating and sleeping. You need to not work this week. You're too stressed out. Go home, don't work this week. Eat some food, you know. And so he went home, and the next morning he had a follow-up appointment with his doctor. So his wife drove him to the doctor's appointment. On the way home from the doctor's appointment, she called me. She said, Andy, I think I need you to come over to the house because we're driving home from the doctor, and he doesn't remember going to the doctor, and he doesn't know who I am. And so I rushed to his house, and basically, he spiked a fever. We took him to the ER, and he had viral meningitis and encephalitis for a while. It was pretty bad. He almost died, and just brain swelling. And it was really bad. And they got him on antiviral medication pretty quickly, and then I spent the night there in the hospital the second night, and he didn't know who I was. I mean, like it was like he would repeat the same thing. Like he didn't even sound like himself. He sounded like somebody totally different. And it was just a bunch of nonsense, stuff what he was saying. And you know, there's a grief there. I was like, oh, maybe I've lost, you know, my best friend. And then 2 nights later, I stayed there, and he remembered my name. I asked him, do you know what my name is? He's like, why are you asking me that? I'm like, well, you didn't know the other day, but whatever. And then he's asking about my son going to college, and you know, so there are things he remembered, but his short term was still like shot. We'd had the same conversation over and over again, and there was just a million things he didn't know. I mean, like he didn't know he had a daughter. I mean, also imagine waking up with no memory in 2020, like COVID time, and he's watching football, and nobody was in the stands. And he's like, "What's happening? Like, what? Tom Brady plays for the Buccaneers? That is that kind of thing." Like he was just, "Who's our president?" It was like he was so confused, didn't understand anything, and anyway, so you know, we'd had these conversations and just have them again, and he wouldn't remember anything. And at some point that night, I said, wait, do you remember the high five? Because it had been like 6.5 years of doing that every week, and we had been on multiple podcasts. I had shirts at the merch table of us giving each other a high five. Like, we had talked about it in so many contexts, like it was a big part of our lives at this point. And he was like, no, what are you talking about? I was like, oh, okay. And I just told him the basics, you know, and that we've been doing that every week for 6 years. And he goes, that's weird. I was like, yeah, it is. It was weird. Anyways, and he went to bed, and the next morning, I'm sure he didn't remember that conversation, but I was like, he got up to go to the restroom, and on his way back, I said, Gabe, I've got a weird request. On your way back to the bed, will you just give me a high five? Because I still needed to log it in for that week. It didn't matter if he knew what he was doing or not. I don't know how consent works and that kind of thing. But I was like, yeah, just give me a high five. That's all I need. And he's like, sure. So he started walking to me. He looked a little confused. But he's wheeling the IV tower next to him. But when he gets to me, he lets go of the IV tower, and he does a clap and a snap, and he gives me a high five. And I start kind of crying. And he's like, what's wrong? I said, you just did the clap and the snap. He said, I did the what? He didn't even remember. He didn't know what he did. And it was that moment, I was like, this is why it feels so important to me. It's like just showing up and doing something stupid and meaningless over and over and over again. It is actually changing the inside of our brains and our bodies and how we react to each other. It's not just, you know, some hobby. It was physically changing us. It was a part of his body when his brain wasn't working. Like the community and the friendship had worked himself into the fabric of his being. And, you know, I think about that, playing music for a community of people who have spent time together over the years, particularly like church communities where it's like, you know, you might show up on a Sunday and it's like, oh, that was a great Sunday. You might show up, that wasn't a great Sunday, or whatever. But like, it doesn't really matter. You show up over a long period of time and your life changes. Like what the fabric of it and kind of the foundation of what you have when things go wrong or when things go well, like it's not predicated by what any 1 week is or what any 1 year is, right? It's just like sticking with it for a long time and it changes everything. So this is a song kind of about that, that I wrote, inspired by the high five, inspired by my love for a guy named Eugene Peterson, who I had the great privilege of working with some and really changed my life, just in the way he validated things that seem small and meaningless, that aren't like flashy. His whole life was about being faithful to those small things. So after he passed away, I wrote this song. Your world is filling up with shiny things, and the pressures of keeping up are rising. They'll tell you something's missing and try to sell you more. But going bigger, faster is not always what you need. Knowing small things matter is really no small thing. Sometimes my economy is upside down. I lose track of the things I care about. When I start chasing power, I wind up getting caught. 'Cause I could climb the ladder, get further from my dreams. Knowing small things matter is really no small thing. So take a walk with me on Monday morning, through the same old small streets of our neighborhood. Oh, it's no marathon that ends in glory, but it's good. It's good. Oh. So pay close attention to the ones who've been living with a long obedience in the same direction. They'll tell you without speaking of the beauty in this world. If beauty's what you're after, it's here in space to see. Knowing small things matter changes everything. If beauty's what you're after, just look close to see. Knowing small things matter is really no small thing. We'll do a guitar switch real quick.